So it's time for Tools with Tyler. Tyler, are you there?
Yes, I am, Craig.
Awesome. Can I give you the controls? Can I make you the captain?
Yes, you can.
All right, awesome. Let me go ahead and do that. You are the captain now. All right, what are you talking about today?
Today I'm going to go over two tools. The first one is called xAPI Remarks, and it can be used in conjunction with xAPI Canteen. So the reason these tools emerge is because I was working with some other groups in the design cohort, and I realized it was hard to communicate information about xAPI statements. Talking about JSON can be difficult. So I was aiming towards a shorthand version of xAPI that could be spoken more like natural language. Often you'll hear something like, Tyler spoke to Craig. So I turned that into a syntax that can be parsed into an xAPI statement. So this code is available on GitHub per our standard website here that has all of ADL's offerings on GitHub. And I'm just going to walk through it real quick. So the documentation is all here on GitHub, and then there's a live demo. So if I copy out one of these, which says tyler@example.com progressed adlnet.github.io, and I paste it in here, then I could run it through the parser, and it generates this complete xAPI statement. And it will calculate whether or not it's a reserved verb in the ADL repository, and if it's not, let's say Tyler watched, then it'll generate a different base URL. There's also more complicated statements that you can create. So Tyler passed assessment 1 with a score of 2 that has a minimum of 0, a maximum of 3. It took him 2 minutes. The context is the parent of page 5, and the grouping is chapter 1 in Science 101 under Science. And what that looks like in xAPI is this. So if you're in a chat or in a document and you want to convey information about an xAPI statement, you can use a remark to get that point across relatively quickly. And as a one-off, it doesn't seem that impressive, but when you start considering an entire interaction flow, it gets more interesting. So here I can pretend I'm going through a book and doing all of these activities. And if I look at the statement viewer here, let me send those to the LRS really quick. Give me 1 second. So now you see I just sent in all of those remarks, parsed as statements, and one in here. And that brings us to our next tool. So now that we have a bunch of statements in the LRS, we have to start thinking about how do we query those. And that's what this tool here is for. This is very similar to the statement viewer in that it has query options. So I can go through and define a query. So let's say commented. So I'm going to search for a predefined verb commented, and let's get those statements, and we see all of these statements that are returned are verb type commented, and I can now save this query. So I come back, I can even refresh this page, and then I could click this and do my query again. So if we want to start getting more complicated, then we could say tom@example.com, who's the authority name here, set the related agents to false so that it'll only query that name there, and call this Tom, save this query, and query that. And we'll see it only pulled out those statements here. And so the next step after you design your queries is you could use a reporting tool such as xAPI Dashboard and start generating visual reports. This is also available on GitHub. And that's about it.
Awesome. So Tyler, I wanted to ask you, so is there any significance to the carets or brackets that are used in remarks, whether you use them?
This syntax is all explained here. So in a statement, you always require an agent, a verb, and an object. And any of these additional parts of the statement are optional. Results will be represented by parentheses, context, curly brackets, and attachments, square brackets. And then you may have noticed single character colon inside some of those parts of the object. So the result has S, which represents the score. And it takes an array of scores. D for duration in the format of ISO 8601. R for response, etc.
So this seems like a really easy way, just informally, as you say, to talk to both the designers and developers about statements that you're creating while you're in the design phase, while you're talking, just to communicate what you'd like to do, as opposed to actually typing out or kind of constructing a statement somewhere. You can actually just express it within the context of plain language, even. That's really cool.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, in addition,
you don't lose any value. You don't have to go back and write the statement from scratch.
Right. Huh. Well, I put the links in the chat window in case anyone wants to go check these out. And as you said before, they're also available. You can get to all of our tools through the Design Cohort GitHub, which I think I listed before. And if I didn't list it before, I'll list it later. Cool. Well, thanks, Tyler. I really appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to people trying this out and looking at evidence of their usage.
Sounds good, Craig.
Cool. Thanks.